Yo, what is up, guys? We are back for another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and in this video today, I came up with 10 units, and realistically it's more like 20 or 25 or something, but basically a top 10 list for the best units in Extreme Super Battle Road. Now, I have chosen one from every typing, and one of every class, right, per typing. So Super and Extreme AGL, and then Super and Extreme Tech, and then down the line. So the criteria to get onto this list is number one, like how good is the unit? And then number two is how many teams are they going to be good on in these new stages of Extreme Super Battle Road, right? So how many teams can you run them on, basically, in these new stages? Well, this is number one, AGL Super Vegito. So certainly this guy has his flaws, but if we look at what makes him so good for Extreme Super Battle Road, we know that, again, you know, his foreseeing super attacks is handy, but getting below 40% HP is kind of a tall task. But what makes him so good is that he reduces damage received by 80% and then counters with tremendous power. You get some crit equipments on him, and just watch him go to town, dude. He does some really, really good damage despite his faults. So he's got an absolutely godly link set, making sure that he's going to fit in on any single team you run him on, right? So specifically, we're talking about Majin Buu Saga Potara. And then, of course, you could potentially run him in the super class stage of Extreme Super Battle Road. So he does fit on 3 teams, right? We're talking specifically about the 10 new stages of ESBR. So I've decided to do not only the main unit, but I've also decided to do a runner-up unit for each typing of each class, right? So for Super AGL, it's underrated unit, man. West Supreme Kai. West Supreme Kai greatly raises attack and defense on super attack, and she guards, dude. She guards all attacks within the same turn after receiving an attack. And then she also supports Realm of Gods category allies. Attack and defense 40%. And she also does provide Realm of Gods units a chance performing a critical hit. Now, this certainly isn't going to be super incredibly useful on maybe like Majin Buu Saga. You know, she would potentially support a unit like Kabitokai or something like that. But there's not a ton of Realm of Gods units on here. But like for the Realm of Gods teams and Potara, she's going to be supporting very, very, very well. And the only reason that she didn't make it over AGL Super Vegito, because obviously you can run her on 1, 2, 3, and then 4 teams if you count Super Class, is just because AGL Super Vegito is so dominant. Like he is, again, despite his faults, he is still a very, very good unit. I would say maybe, I would have to think about top 10 EZAs. Would he be on it? He might be. Although he might be getting close to being off of the top 10 for EZAs, but it's still pretty close. He's still a damn good unit. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Extreme AGL. Now, when we look at Extreme AGL, not exactly a plethora of units. Like, certainly, I probably don't have every single, like, unit in the game or anything, but in terms of Extreme AGL, there was one that really, really stood out in terms of his usefulness, and it's this guy here. Agl Golden Frieza. Now, the thing about Agl Golden Frieza is when you are 40% HP or above, 40% HP or more, he reduces all damage received by 90%. Basically, that means even type disadvantage, he's tanking no problem at all. The only scary thing about AGL Golden Frieza is when he drops below that 40% HP threshold, he quite literally has no passive unless you get him 4 key spheres or more. Like, if you don't get him 4 key spheres, he has no passive. So, kind of crazy that units like that still exist, but he does indeed. But that 90% damage reduction, like if you get lucky, if you get him on the first rotation and like all of the units attack in that first slot, like, you're good to go. You absolutely have nothing to worry about because he tanks literally everything, right? So I did decide to give him a lot of dodge right in case his passive runs out. But he is specifically on the Res Warriors team, and then, of course, you can run him in Extreme Class Super Battle Road. So the thing about Extreme AGL, man, there's not a ton of choices. It's again, as I said, kind of a bit of a barren wasteland of units. But in terms of the runner-up, I went ahead and chose this guy. Now this is Majin Buu Piccolo, came alongside Gotenks in the worldwide download celebration. So this guy, he's got a high chance to stun on a super attack. He recovers HP at the start of every turn. He does give himself ki. And then, of course, he provides beautiful attack 30%, defense 50%. All of those things very, very good for Extreme Super Battle Royale. The only thing you do need to be careful of is if he doesn't manage to evade attacks, he can take some serious damage because he doesn't, like, raise defense on super or anything like that. It just is what it is, right? But he is going to be supporting, specifically, you can run him on this Majin Buu Saga team, right? But he's going to be supporting a lot of really good units. Like, if you get them a little bit of defense along with their 40% damage reduction, they can actually be pretty effective, right? So, supporting that power absorption team is going to be really, really good, especially, like, if you can get them straight up, get them alongside this guy here. Actually, one of the LRs I do not have in the game is LR Gotenks. Get him alongside that guy, man, and just, you know, it's lights out, man. That Majin Buu Saga is really, really good with this guy on the team, especially if you're running a lot of extreme Majin Buu Sagas. But let's go ahead and move on to Super Tek. Now, for Super Tek, I think y'all are probably already know where I'm going with this. This guy, it's the no-brainer choice, Gohan Teen. He's probably the MVP of all of Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, you name it, right? He is so crazy good. He is probably, I would say on the global side of the game, currently he's the best TUR. I really don't know if it's close. Like, yeah, you can say Fizz VB, that's kind of a different class. I don't think Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta really compares to this guy. I guess if you get on Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's active skill turn, yeah, I mean, he's really, really ridiculous, but when we're talking about this guy, let's just go ahead and take a look at what he does. In this particular case, his leader skill is relevant. So he is a Saviors and Hybrid Saiyans leader, which means that you could make, let's just say, a full Majin Buu Saga team with a bunch of, you know, you could run like a bunch of Hercules and Hybrid Saiyans, and boom, you've got a Majin Buu Saga team, right? Obviously, Hybrid Saiyans goes without saying, right? Res Warriors, I'm sure you could work something out with his leader skill, right? So just things to keep in mind. So he's infinitely, greatly raising defense, which is such an insane ability. I don't know if anyone else does this in the entire game. I think it's just him still. I think it is. I'd have to double check that. But everything else he does, attack and defense 140%, key 1 at the start of each turn up to key 3, and he guards. Man, guarding is just such an OP ability in Extreme Super Battle Road. Having, essentially, he's got type advantage against every single enemy, which just makes him take no damage, right? Same thing as Int Janemba, right? That's what makes Int Janemba just so dominant, right? And when he gets to this guy, I mean, it's GG's, right? You know, Ultimate Gohan, man, he greatly raises attack, and he can actually stun, and it's not just like, you know, it's a 2-turn stun, it's a full stun, right? So if you get to turn 5, and then, of course, he guards, and then he also gives himself 3 ki. Attack and defense 158% is so nuts. And he gives himself an additional attack 58% for the rest of battle when the guard is activated. So when he gets hit one time, yeah, he gets that additional attack 58%. And that is a separately calculated attack 58%. So combining everything this guy does, along with being able to run him on, again, on 1, 2, 3, and then 4 if you count the super class stage, this guy's it's an absolute no-brainer. Now for the runner-up, I went ahead and chose Tek Khalifa. So Tek Khalifa is realistically only going to be relevant on maybe 2 of the stages, right? So you could say Peppy Gals for sure, she's like a must-run, and then the super class stage. But what makes her so good, I'm sure y'all know at this point, is her ability to guaranteed dodge against pure Saiyans and then Universal Survival Saga enemies. And then when you get her next to a Kale, she starts getting additional attacks. She can like triple super in a turn. She infinitely raises attack and defense. Like, she's really, really good. And on a full Peppy Gals team, she's got a 64% chance to dodge. That's assuming you're not up against any pure Saiyans or Universal Survival Saga enemies, which in the Peppy Gal stage, for the first 2 fights you are. As long as you save them last, as long as you take them down last. So in the first stage you're up against a Goku, And then in the second stage, you're up against a Vegeta. But even in that third stage, if you run the team that I ran all Peppy Gals, but I also included STR Kale and Agl Khalifa on the team. You tack on an additional 24% dodge, so she's up to an 80% chance to dodge. So she is... Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me do some quick math there. Hold on. So it's 56. I think it's 64%, including herself. Yeah, and then you tack on an additional 16%. Excuse me. So yeah, that's an 80% chance to dodge in that last stage. So unless you get horrendously unlucky, she's going to be dodging 4 out of every 5 attacks. So still really, really ridiculously good, even when you're not up against a pure Saiyan or a Universal Survival Saga enemy. But let's go ahead and move on to Extreme Tek. All right, so taking a look at Extreme Tek. Actually, Extreme Tek in a pretty good position, I would say. So the number 1 unit, again, maybe even better than Tek Ultimate Gohan, Tek Hit. No, I'm just kidding. No one's gonna be laughing though when his EZA comes about. And he's getting like guaranteed crits, guaranteed stuns, and they make him guard and shit like that. Like, he's going to be probably ridiculous with his EZA. But the unit I chose, this was kind of a tough decision. It was between this guy and one other guy. But this is Demon King Piccolo for Extreme Tek. Now, what makes this guy so good for ESBR? So he raises defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage, and then he also greatly raises defense on his 18 key. Now, mostly you're going to be seeing this guy, right? You're going to mostly be seeing the old Demon King Piccolo. If by chance you get to turn 7, I believe it's turn 7, right? Yeah, or when you're up against a DB Saga World Tournament or Dragon Ball Seekers category enemy. So what does this mean? So World Tournament actually does come up, right? So in the Resurrected Warrior stage, the very first stage, you're up against some World Tournament enemies in that Gohan and Videl. So that is something to keep in mind. You will see him sometimes, right? So, but anyway, let's go back to old Demon King Piccolo because we'll see him the most. Remember that he is a Tek Key Sphere changer, right? He reduces damage received with 5 or more Key Spheres obtained. And again, Tek Key Sphere changer. And then he does the same thing. When he gets to this guy, dude, it's just lights out. He gets that guaranteed 50%. He gets 66% damage reduction for 5 turns from the start of turn. And then he reduces damage by 50% with 5 Key Spheres obtained starting from the 6th turn. So basically, you know, he reverts back to the other version of the damage reduction, right? But anyway, this guy raises attack and defense and then greatly raises attack and defense on his 18 key. Like, both of them, they're raising defense along with damage reduction. It just makes them so good and so valuable to their teams. Now, one thing you could say is his link set is a bit weird, for sure. Like, you've got, like, Incredible Adventure and Guidance to the Dragon Balls, and that does make it weird. But he would link up, you know, rather well. I don't know, like, let's just say, like, the free-to-play Lord Slug. Like, they actually link up pretty well together. You know, they have Shattering the Limit, Demonic Ways, and Nightmare, I believe. So, and then again, him having Legendary Power and then Shattering the Limit, he is going to link up decent. I'm not going to say great. Like, he does have a pretty niche link set. But again, everything he's doing and being that Tek Orb Changer makes him really, really good. So the other unit that I went with for my runner-up, probably to no one's surprise, is Tek Golden Frieza. So Tek Golden Frieza is still a ridiculously good EZA. He reduces damage by 80% when HP is 50% or more, and then he reduces damage by 50% when HP is 49% or less. So this means that even if his damage reduction drops off, if you get below 50%, he still gets damage reduction. It's just less damage reduction. You can stack an item on top of that, and he gets back. Like, if you stack an Icarus on top of his 50% damage reduction, he's back up to 85% damage reduction. So still a really, really good EZA for sure. Not really much else to go over for this guy. He's not going to do a ton of damage for you. He does massively lower defense, but you can run him on the Res Warrior stage. So he is going to be competing directly with Demon King Piccolo. I do like Demon King Piccolo a little bit better. But again, you know, still a really, really solid option. If you don't grind the World Tournament and you don't have LR Demon King Piccolo, this guy is certainly like a top tier option. So let's go ahead. I guess one more just like runner up. Unfortunately, if this guy's an absolute Super Battle Road killer, right? The only thing is he's not on any of the meta teams we're talking about, right? But this guy is, Lrtech Broly. He does so much damn damage, and if you can get him to turn 4 and get him to this guy, dude, it's just lights out. And then you get him his active skill, you know, his guaranteed active skill, where he gets this 48% out of turn attack buff. On his active skill turn, he can potentially, if the enemies survive, he can potentially super attack 4 times, assuming you can, if you start the fight with 2 enemies and then you kill an enemy, you can potentially super attack 4 times with this guy. Now, what happens usually is they're dead before then, but this guy is an absolutely crazy option. Just try not to get him hit. I mean, straight up, try not to get him hit because he can get tagged. He can get tagged hard. But he does so much damage that it just doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and move on to, I think we're on Super Int. All right, so here we are, Super Int. Another team that I would say is actually in a relatively good position. Like, obviously the likes of like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta on it. But the unit that I chose for my best unit for Super Int is this guy. This Gotenks, man, is so good. Like, specifically when he gets to this guy, you need to get to turn 3 basically to get him to this guy. I think that's what it is, right? It is starting from the 3rd turn. So hopefully you get the base Gotenks on turn 1, and by turn 3 you've got him. And then actually in the rare instance that he goes to this guy, it's absolute lights out, man. That guy is crazy. But I do want to talk specifically about this guy. This is who you're going to be seeing most of the time. So not only does he greatly raise defense, cause immense damage, he's got a 70% chance to stun, and he can triple super attack. So it is going to be rare. It honestly is more rare than not, from my experience, that he does not stun the enemy. Yeah, medium chance of launching an additional super attack. So if you get, again, potentially supering 3 times, dude, it's so good. He could potentially stun like more than, well, he can't technically stun more than 1 enemy because he would have to kill the enemy first, right? But again, supering 3 times, then again, 4 turns after the transformation, getting Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is very, very rare. But this guy still does have a high chance to stun, and he just does such insane amounts of damage. It's so absurd the amount of damage he does. But if you look at this guy, look at this, dude. So you can run him on not only Hybrid Saiyans, you can run him on Majin Buu Saga, and you can run him on Fusions. Now, Fusion is probably the toughest stage of the bunch, and he is an absolute staple of that team. Again, that ability to stun, and he links up very well with this free-to-play unit. A unit didn't quite make my honorable mention, but, you know, should probably be mentioned, that Gotenks and Ghost. A very, very versatile unit. Also on Hybrid Saiyans. He's not on Majin Buu Saga, but he is on Hybrid Saiyans and Fusion. So really, really good linking partner as well for this guy. So Int Gotenks, the easy, clear winner. Again, you can run him on 4 teams, but I did choose a runner-up who is a very, very good option for some similar teams, right? So the Supreme Kai and Kabito. Supreme Kai and Kabito, man, this is one of those support-type units. He's not even a support unit. They're just kind of a unit that has a lot of utility. They're just one of these units that does absolutely everything. Greatly raises defense, really, really good. Causes supreme damage, pretty good. High chance of stunning, so 50% chance to stun the enemy. Gives themselves key attack and defense 120%. They lower the enemy's attack and defense for 2 turns, and a high chance, 50% chance of evading enemy's attack. And hey, guess what? If that wasn't enough, they recover 10% HP at the end of turn. They have one of those active skills that's whenever you want, right? But you only get it once. So this guy, Kabitokai, greatly raises attack and defense and seals. So you trade off the high chance to stun for a guaranteed seal, and then he greatly raises attack and defense. So he can output a little bit more damage, and he guaranteed seals. And then again, attack and defense 150%, gives himself an extra key. All enemies attack and defense minus 20% and stuns the attacked enemy for 2 turns once only. That's a guaranteed 1-turn stun, so pretty good. And then recovers HP at the end of turn. Again, another unit that just, like, I had to mention them because they are so good on all these damn teams. They're only on 4 teams, but look, 3 of their 4 teams have Super Battle Road stages in this round of Extreme Super Battle Road. You could realistically run them on any single one of those teams, and they are going to be just ridiculously good. I can just tell you from experience, man, they're tanking just fine after they super attack. They tank really, really well. And they have that 50% chance to dodge. In my opinion, this is like an upgraded version of like Gowasu and Zamasu, right? They're just like a better version of Gowasu and Zamasu. But let's go ahead, you know, I don't want to make this video too horribly long. Let's go ahead and move on to Extreme Int. All right, so Extreme Int is interesting, right? Extreme Int has a lot of top tier units for sure. Like this guy specifically, like after you get him alongside like STR Bojack, it's absolutely lights out. You could easily add this guy to my list. He's not on my list of units. So Int Bojack's certainly a good choice, although he is not on my list, as I said. I think you could easily make the case maybe he should be, but he's just, for the purposes of this video, well, we'll go ahead and mention him. I mean, he does do some really, really good things. Again, he's got this link here, man. And again, you link him up with STR Bojack, dude. I mean, they are just like, what a fierce tandem they are, right? They just do such, this guy particularly does so much damage. But the unit that I actually chose, it's this guy. LR Int Cell, still a unit, you know, we're actually going on, believe it or not, he is almost 2 years old. And after the link leveling update, he got so much better. So what does this guy do? So on super attack, he's greatly lowering defense. His leader skill is pretty widely irrelevant for these stages of Extreme Super Battle Road. But again, you know, this link right here, man, is just getting it to link level 10, getting that unconditional attack and defense 25%, just can't be understated how good that is. Certainly he does have kind of a niche link set, but he is on Res Warriors. And you can definitely run him on the Extreme class stage. Like, you could easily run like a Transformation Boost team led by STR Cooler or something like that. Look at how many teams he's on. He's on 12 teams. I mean, that is ridiculous. Planetary Destruction as well. So, really, really, really monster unit. And then, of course, when he evolves into this guy, number one, if you can get this guy, he gives you a full heal. But when he gets to this form, dude, he becomes just a monster, right? He's getting a lot of attack and defense with extra orbs. If you get him 8 orbs, I believe he's getting an additional 80% attack and defense. So this guy is, I'm sorry, he's getting an additional 80% attack, and then I believe 60% defense. So he does some really, really nasty shit, right? On that Revived Warrior team in particular, Resurrected Warriors, you know, he's going to have that revival link and stuff like that. So this guy is really, really good still to this day. And again, you could, you know, Artificial Life Forms, another team you could easily run him on next to, like, STR Rildo or something like that. Like, yeah, that could be a pretty nasty little team there. Really strong defensive team. But in terms of a runner-up, now this may or may not be, this may be a controversial decision, but I went ahead and chose LR Rose. And the reason why, now we all know at this point, if you've seen any showcases, he's a little lackluster in the defense department, but he does so much damn damage, dude. He does so much damage that I would say it's almost worth running him in there. And the other thing is he's on Realm of Gods and Potara, and then certainly you could run him, like if you're running Extreme class, you could certainly run him on like the Corroded Body and Mind next to another Goku Black. I mean, he's ridiculous, right? I mean, he's really, really, really good. So he does so much damage that he kind of can overcome his sort of lackluster defense, because he's only getting 66% defense start of turn, and he's only getting attack per key rise, right? The Angel SS2 Vegeta, he gets attack and defense rise, but this guy just does so much damage, man. I think it would be worth running him on the team if you're running him on Realm of Gods or Potara. Just make sure you've got another Big Bad Bosses unit next to him, and make sure you level this link up, right, to full link level 10. I mean, I guess you don't need to. 92% even at link level 6 is pretty good, right? I mean, you're going to frequently be below 90% HP in Extreme Super Battle Road. It is that tough. So he is my runner-up I chose. Again, we also did mention Int Bojack. Certainly another, like, just ridiculous unit, right? Int Bojack, he's giving himself attack. More attack based on more HP, and then he's getting more defense the less HP. So a similar thing to like Int Kid Goku or something. But Again, after the link leveling update and after the emergence of STR Bojack, this guy is an absolute just Leviathan, right? So, but again, for sake of time, let's move on to Super STR. All right, so the best typing in the game, Super STR, and we haven't even got STR Videl yet, and this team is easily the best typing in the game. I mean, just look at the monsters on this team. The main monster I want to talk about is this guy, right? So these guys, I should say, Goku and Vegeta, I have said since they've come out for the last almost calendar year, they are damn near a perfect unit. So they raise attack and defense on their 12-key super attack, and then they also do it on their 18-key super. You combine that with their damage reduction and their attack and defense 120%, the original LR Gohan mechanic, and it's just lights out, dude. And then not to mention, like, another thing they do is they get this special fusion when HP is 77% or less starting from the 4th turn. And you can get this guy to come out, man. This guy, he's a little bit vulnerable defensively. He doesn't have the craziest defensive stat, as you can see, only 9,000. But again, you get a dupe or two in him. He's going to be a little bit better defensively. Mine's only sitting here at 55%. But he does a lot of damage, and most importantly, he does that heal. So this guy is going to be something, he's going to make like the no item runs and shit possible because he gives you this 50% heal when he gets to this stage. And he is on Potara and Majin Buu Saga, and certainly you could run a full Majin Buu Saga / Battle of Wits team, a double Goku and Vegeta lead, and just decimate that super class stage. So these guys, really, really, really ridiculously good. I absolutely love this unit. I cannot wait to get dupes in them. And I would say there are a couple options here for a runner-up, but I'm going to go ahead and go with you. STR UI Goku. Now, he's only going to be relevant in one stage. I guess you could say 2 stages if you count super class. But on this Realm of Gods team, man, he's just an absolute staple. I mean, he just is. Like, if you have him, you run him. It's just that simple. 70% chance to dodge, builds up attack, defense, and ki per attack evaded. It's just like again, one of these units, I don't want to say he's absolutely perfect because you guys know, like, when he gets hit, it just seems as though he, like, gets hit in flurries, right? He either dodges everything or he dodges nothing. There really seems to be no gray area with him for some reason. But when he gets to dodging, man, and if you get him 7 dodges, I think you have to get, is it 7 dodges? Yeah, 7 dodges to get him fully built up. Yes, yeah, up to 77%. So when he gets his 7 dodges, he's giving himself 7 ki and additional 77% attack and defense. And this is every single fight. This is not like every single turn. This is like, this lasts the remainder of the fight, right? He can start to output the most crazy amounts of damage. And then he still has the 70% chance to dodge. And he'll be sitting there with like 180k defense. Like, he is absolutely crazy. And again, giving himself up to 7 ki. God damn, look at that card art. The best card art in the game, don't at me. It just is. So STR UI Goku is my runner-up. I think one other you could mention, I will just go ahead and throw him out there. This guy here, man, a free-to-play World Tournament unit. This guy is really good. And he's certainly, you can run him on Hybrid Saiyans and Majin Buu Saga. He's going to fit in very well on both sides. So he's got a medium chance to stun. He's got 58% damage reduction. And he's just a general super class support unit, right? He's like a perfect support unit. And you could easily run him. I have run him on some of my no-item runs for sure. But again, the Majin Buu Saga and Hybrid Saiyans team, he's a damn strong unit. A damn fine unit to run as a floating option. But let's go ahead and move on to Extreme STR. All right, Extreme STR. Now, there is one glaring exception that I do not have. And it doesn't really matter, though, because this guy is number 1. So the one unit that I'm talking about, of course, is LR Turles. Now, LR Turles runs into the situation with these new stages of Extreme Super Battle Road. He doesn't really fit onto any of the teams except for Extreme Class. So usually the criteria to get onto this list as the number 1 option, you got to be on at least 2 teams, right? And LR Str Broly does fall into that category, right? So he does a lot, right? STR Broly, man, we know at this point is absolutely just a juggernaut. Raises attack and defense on his 12 and 18 key super. He can potentially super 3 times. He gets guaranteed double supers on top of a 13,000 defensive stat, dude. I'm telling you, he takes almost no damage from super attacks. It's so insane to see, especially if you get his links all the way grinded up. Like a couple of these links, like Prepared for Battle, for instance, is giving him defense. Saiyan Lineage, I think, does too. Yeah, so he's getting defense from a couple of these. I think Saiyan Warrior, I think the rest are just attack links, but... and then, guys, I mean, this guy's crazy, right? Specifically on this Res Warrior team, dude. Oh, not that. Especially on this Res Warrior team, man. You get him linked up with just like any other Prepared for Battle unit, man, and you're just good to go. You are good to go. And then he gives himself 5 ki if you're up against a pure or hybrid Saiyan. If you're up against a Goku's family enemy, which, hey, you are in the Resurrected Warrior stage, on every single fight you're up against a Goku's family enemy, he is super effective against all types. And we know on his 12 ki super, it's an AoE, right? And he's guaranteed to hit, right? So no one can evade him, even in events where they can evade you, right? SBR is not one of them, but that is just something to keep in mind. This guy's absolutely bananas. It doesn't get much better than this guy. So I would love to include Turles, but he just does not fall into any of the categories. So my runner-up is this guy here. So Str Omega Shenron, even though on the Shadow Dragon stage, he's not supporting anyone except himself, it doesn't matter because of what he does, right? He's got that monster 40% attack reduction. It's so crazy. His effect is so profound on any team you run him on. And in something like Extreme Super Battle Road, you need shit like this. Like, this is the type of unit you need. And again, he's not providing, unfortunately, he's only supporting himself with 40% and then 2 ki, but it doesn't matter. His effect is really, really noticeable, and especially if you link him up with, let's just say, Oceana Shenron, and you activate that part of her passive, she starts to go crazy, right? She becomes super effective against all types and stuff like that, so he has a big effect on that team for sure. And of course, he's got like the GT link. At some point, we probably will get like an EZA for Sin Shenron, or we'll get like a new Sin Shenron that transforms into Omega Shenron, where they'll share Shadow Dragons, big bad bosses, GT. They'll probably share the exact same link set, right? Maybe minus. Maybe they won't give them Fear and Faith, and they'll give them Legendary Power or something like that. But let's go ahead and move on to Super Fizz. So guys, I know that this is a long video, so if you've made it this far, go ahead and slap a like. Now, I do want to point out, same thing with Super Int, right, is neither of the new units, unfortunately, they just don't make the list, right, because they're not technically on any of the teams we're running them on, right? They're not, all you can do is run them in Super Class and Extreme Class. They are both certainly, like, insanely powerful. But for the criteria for my grading, they just don't make the list. The guy who does is right here. Fizz Vegito Blue, going to be an absolute dominator on any single team, right? So Realm of Gods and Potara is what we're talking about specifically. And then, of course, Superclass. But we all know at this point, if you've been playing the game a while, he greatly raises attack and defense on Super, and he can potentially Super 4 times in a turn. He reduces he reduces damage from normal attacks by 40% and then counters with tremendous power. So if he super attacks 4 times, let's just say he super attacks 4 times, and his attack is absolutely just through the moon, and then he's getting crit counters, it's just absolutely GG, man. Try running this guy in Extreme Realm of Gods and let me know how he does, right? I bet it's pretty good. Unless you get the shittiest RNG, yeah, he's pretty good in that stage. He's got an absolutely godly link set. He's going to fit in on whatever team you run him on, basically, between Fused Fighter, Prepared for Battle, Over in a Flash. Like, he's ridiculous, right? So the one guy that I would say, I actually almost chose him over Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, I don't know why it came out that way, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, right, is this guy. This guy, Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta, man, remember, this guy is on Res Warriors and Majin Buu Saga, right? I mean, this guy certainly is going to be really, really good. The only thing is, like, he does, I don't want to say he has like a sus link set, but the fact that he does not have prepared for battle is a little bit annoying. And his active skill condition is also a little bit annoying, so you can get it in both of his teams that we're talking about, Res Warriors and Majin Buu Saga. He's got to be with a Majin Buu Saga Goku, right? So he's going to link up fairly well with like the Int Dokkan Festival Super Saiyan 2 Goku. He's going to fit in pretty well with that guy until he transforms, right? Until that Super Saiyan Goku transforms, this guy will link up decently well, right? At the very least, they both have Golden Warrior, right? And sharing a couple other links there. So, but of course, you can link him up with, I'm trying to think of other Majin Buu Saga Gokus, right? You can link him up with, who else? This guy, I suppose you can link him up with as well. There's a Fizz Goku I'm looking for, too, that you can link him up with. This guy here, you can link him up with. I think all three of these guys are Majin Buu Saga. You could potentially link him up with any one of those guys, right? So, this guy is really, really powerful. Again, we mentioned it a little earlier. He gets the key rise, he gets attack and defense on key rise. So this guy actually becomes really, really good after he super attacks. He also raises defense on super too. So, and then I believe he greatly lowers defense on 18 key. That's annoying. But on his unit super attack, when you've got a Majin Buu Saga Goku, he greatly raises his attack and massively lowers defense. So in a lot of cases, you're going to want to just get him the 12 key super in Extreme Super Battle Road. Again, being able to raise defense is very, very useful. And when you're talking about a unit that, you know, with one dupe, he's got 12,000 defense, man. Just a normal raise in defense is pretty damn good. So we are finally on to the last typing, Extreme Fizz. Let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, so Extreme Fizz. Now, we've already been over it. I am missing one big-time unit, and actually the one big-time unit does make my list, but the guy who I chose as my #1 unit, not the runner-up, is this guy here. Final Form Frieza Angel from the Tournament of Power. He is a Res Warriors leader, which, again, we already know at this point is a stage that we're talking about. Extreme Fizz, I don't want to say is like a barren wasteland, but it does need a bit of help. Like, it could really use an Easy A from this guy. This guy really needs his Easy A. Unfortunately, one of the premier Dokkan Fests, man, all of them are just getting old, right? Like, this guy is old. I mean, straight up, he is pushing 3 years old now. And it shows, man. He just does not have the defense. Do not try to bring this guy in Extreme Super Battle Road. He gets absolutely pummeled. Don't even try it. I've tried it. It's not worth, right? But just a lot of these premier Dokkan Festival exclusives are just aging. But we do know about Gotenks, right? He does stack attack and he does stack defense depending on what super attack you get him. You know, LR Gotenks, obviously really, really good. He's got those amazing LR stats. He heals. He's got like a really, really bomb-ass link set, especially if you link him up with another Majin Buu unit. But I guess let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Frieza, right? So Frieza stacks defense and he seals, a good ability to have in Extreme Super Battle Road. Start of turn attack and defense, and then he gets an additional attack and defense upon getting hit. And then he also has a medium chance to evade. And then he also reduces the attacked enemy's attack and defense minus 30% for 2 turns. Man, he's really, really good. Especially for something like Super Battle Road, where the enemy can have their attack and defense lowered and such, and be sealed. And then he does have a whenever you want active skill, where he massively raises attack for 1 turn on Super, attack and defense 120%, and then he also gets attack and defense upon Super attacking, so he can benefit a lot from support type units. And he reduces damage received by 50% when your HP falls below 49%. Really, really good. Just ridiculously good in Extreme Super Battle Road. Really, really good. And again, Res Warriors and the Extreme class, he's like a staple, man. He is just ridiculously powerful on both of those teams. But guys, that wraps up the list. If you feel like I forgot anyone like egregious, let me know in the comments below. Or if you just have any even slight disagreements, I got no problem, you know, chatting about it and defending my honor. So obviously this has been a very long video. If you've stuck around this far, slap a like on it. And also I would be remiss to mention, just so, you know, depending on when this video goes up, we could potentially get the info for the Super Saiyan 4 Easy A's. Just keep in mind, the Super Saiyan 4 Easy A's, they're only going to be relevant on that Shadow Dragon Saga team. So Certainly they could be some of the more busted EZAs in the game. We shall see. Hopefully they don't hold back. I really, really hope they don't hold back on those units, because they should be, both of them should be ridiculously powerful. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one. Later.